so fortunate to have Cheryl with us. Cheryl D'Angelo Gary has over 15 years of experience in change management, project management, and continuous improvement. She is currently a Labor and Industries Enterprise Readiness Officer, and she runs their change management training and agility development programs. Cheryl offers ProSci Change Practitioner training through LNI and DES, and she is the lead for our statewide Organizational Change Management Community of Practice, which is amazing. I've attended and I hear so many people also talking about it. So if you haven't signed up for that COP, that's another good one to sign up for. But without further ado, I am going to pass the mic to you, Cheryl.
Okay. Let me see. You all can hear me, yes? Sounds
Yes,
like it.
ma'am. We
Okay.
gotcha.
Thank you. So, hi, I'm Cheryl D'Angelo Gary. I use she, her pronouns. For any sight impaired participants, I'm a middle-aged woman with short hair and fun eyeglasses. I am wearing a blue dress and a black sweater. I work for LNI in their Enterprise Change Readiness Office. For the last 5 years there, my focus has been on enterprise change agility. And this presentation focuses on some of the things we've done and some of the things I want to see us move forward on. Um, we will be toggling chat on and off throughout this. This is because Zoom webinar, like Teams and the other presentation options we currently have, don't allow screen readers to differentiate between the presenter and comments in chat. So if you've injured yourself or you have a permanent disability, trying to follow along when chat is open is nearly impossible. So if you, like me, would prefer to live in a world where we have the option of chat open throughout presentations, consider reaching out to Zoom and the other virtual meeting place providers and asking them to make their platforms more accessible. That would be really helpful. In the meantime, our learning objectives today are to understand what change agility is, what enterprise level change agility is, to recognize the core components of enterprise change agility, and to get familiar with some of the tools and concepts. Because change is coming faster than ever, right? So let's go ahead and open chat up right now. What's the first big change that comes to your mind when you think of major changes within your lifetime? And I ask you to drop that into chat, and I'll go ahead and jump in first just to help. For me, it's computers. I built my first computer when I was 12, and it was considered a personal model. So it was relatively small, meaning it fit into a box on my desk that was about 20 by 18 by 8 inches. And that part connected via cables to a whole stack of servers and routers and receivers that took up half my closet, a space about 3 feet by 3 feet by 5 feet tall. To get into the internet, I had to hack into the nearby college's network. Now, I carry the power of the internet in a computer that is about 3 by 6 inches and fits in my pocket. Oh, and it also makes phone calls and takes pictures. And through that cell phone, I can access a computer that's programmed to learn complex information, summarize it, and report it back to me conversationally. A computer with artificial intelligence. That's some huge changes in a relatively short period of time. So let's take a look at chat and see what we've got there. And it is going to take me just a moment to get back to chat because you all disappeared when I shared my screen.
Oh, I can share some of the things if that's helpful, Cheryl.
That would be tremendously helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Um, oh gosh, do I need to start that? Okay. We've got social media, PDAs, personal computer, ability to automate most forms of labor. Oh, a smart thermostat. I have that and I love it. Uh, let's see. Fun fact, the television, was invented 2 years after sliced bread. That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
Um, Microtransmitters, microwaves. I can
Mm,
go on forever. There's so many answers in here. AOL online, gas to electric vehicles. That's a good one. And Alexa.
mhm. Oh, yes. Yes, I still remember the great graphic that AOL had when they came out. It was like a key to the globe.
Yeah.
Incredible graphic. One of the best I've ever seen.
It's pretty awesome. There's more coming in. You just let me know if you want me to keep going. I don't want to take up all your time, but somebody else said cryptocurrency. Oh, and remote lawnmowers. Oh, and funny thing, I think I saw an automatic remote caddy on a golf course. Somebody wasn't even pushing it. It was just like hovering in front of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Contactless payment methods? Yes, absolutely. Oh, these are great.
Mhm.
Yes. So lots and lots of change coming fast. Stem cell therapy, beautiful. Roombas. Oh, yes. So grateful for mine. From calling to get yourself online to high-speed internet, medical devices, huge, huge changes in medical devices and what they can do. Keyless car keys, yes. I always feel I'm traveling back in time when I have to actually carry my keys now. Yeah, yeah. So many huge changes.
Oh,
Thank
and
you
what about
all.
those tiles who track your keys or your phone when you lose it? Those are great.
Yes. Yes. So you literally can't lose your keys anymore.
Right.
Driverless semi trucks. Oh, that's scary. And CRISPR and diabetes monitors. Yes. Smart home technology. Absolutely. Continuous glucose monitors. Yeah. Yeah, no progress on the teleporting yet. Still disappointed in that. Traveling storytellers to streaming podcasts. Yes, there are some amazing storytelling podcasts out there. Piano key necktie. All right, I like that. I have a piano key scarf, so yeah, totally for it. 3D printing. Beautiful. Okay. Thank you all for playing along there. So let's go ahead and shut chat down so our friends and colleagues using assistive devices can more easily participate. And let's talk for a minute about what enterprise change agility is. Enterprise change agility is a holistic approach that prepares organizations, people, and business systems for change. Enterprise agility prioritizes both workforce well-being and customer service by looking at how we do things and by building our workplace cultures with intention and forethought. We can become more nimble and ultimately more proactive, foreseeing change rather than simply reacting to it. Please note that the Project Management Institute uses the term enterprise agility in a narrower capacity. So just know when I use it in this presentation, I'm talking about helping whole agencies be prepared for change of all kinds, planned and unplanned, foreseen and unforeseen. So let's talk about some of the benefits of enterprise change agility. First is improved employee engagement. In an enterprise change agility environment, each employee, team, and program have a thorough understanding of how their work fits into the big picture, how it feeds the enterprise goals and meets customer needs. When there's clear purpose and meaning in every employee's action, motivation and engagement increase. Number two, customer feedback is centered in an agile workplace. The goal becomes providing customer value, so customer feedback is actively sought and acted on. The whole culture shifts toward a growth mindset, open to new ideas and trying new things. Where enterprise change agility has been implemented, the culture shifts toward one of removing barriers and celebrating lessons learned. Transparency increases and trust increases from customers and among employees. Third, increased quality and pride in our work. In an agile environment, work typically stays within a small cross-functional team. So there are fewer handoffs, and the approach and details of the work are decided by the team. The work belongs to them, so they take more pride in it. Customers, internal and external, experience increased transparency and involvement. And finally, Enterprise change agility focuses on objectives and key results. Agency goals and missions translate into specific goals for each cross-functional team. When fully implemented, these smaller teams have autonomy over how to do their work, which decreases the time to reach critical decisions and reinforces individual commitment to agency goals. Enterprise level agility has some other benefits as well. Here's some data from McKinsey & Company that has been looking at enterprise agility since 2012, if I remember right, since 2013, forgive me. So they've been gathering data on agile enterprises since 2013, and they've discovered that enterprise agility practices strengthen companies overall. Organizations that have adopted enterprise agility principles are both more active and more stable. There's a tendency to believe that stability and speed are at opposite ends of a spectrum, but this study shows that to be incorrect. Speed, when it's supported by the management principles that accompany enterprise change agility, actually leads to more stability. So companies practicing enterprise change agility outperformed others by such a significant amount that McKinsey dug deeper to figure out what specific practices really impacted stability and speed. So let's take a look at the top 5 enterprise change agility management practices. These are the top 5 that allow speed with stability. And this ranking is based on McKinsey's Organizational Health Index scale. There's a link on the resource slide for the slide deck to more information about this ranking and to the complete data set that McKinsey collected from this study. So if you've taken one of my classes or workshops, you know role clarity is something that I can harp on. Role clarity increases an individual's comfort level, which allows them to more fully engage, to be more creative, to collaborate more fully because they know what is being expected of them. It also contributes to personal accountability. If I fully understand what my piece is, then I'm going to do my best to get my piece across the finish line on time and well done. So both role clarity and operational discipline are highly ranked practices among agile organizations, those in that top quartile of the agility index that was on the last slide. But these are not seen among the least agile ones, the ones in the bottom quartile. So this is powerful evidence that part of what makes agile companies so special is their ability to balance fast action and rapid change on the one hand, with organizational clarity, stability, and structure on the other. Innovation and learning show up 3 times in the top 10 ECA management practices. You can see the associated outcome over here. Innovation and learning show up 3 times in the top 10. I'm only showing the top 5 here, but McKinsey has identified more. And again, there's a link to that in the resources slide on this. So the companies practicing enterprise change agility in this study were very learning oriented. So these top 5, we talked a little bit about role clarity. That is number 1. Number 2 is top-down innovation. So we're actually looking to make things better from the top down. Number 3 is capturing and acting on external ideas. Number 4, process-based capabilities. And number 5, being operationally disciplined, making sure that we are doing what we need to be doing when we need to be doing it. So those are the top 5 enterprise change agility management practices, according to this study, which is 10 years in the making as of these figures. So there are 3 things that enterprise change agility really focuses on, and they are listed in no particular order here. They're equally important. So customer service, which means that we are making sure that customers' needs are being met. Employee well-being. Are we supporting the mental, physical, emotional, and economic health of our people? Are they engaged in their work? Do they feel involved and heard when big decisions are made or changes are coming up? And enterprise value. Are we meeting the need we were created to meet? Are we looking ahead at related needs, either currently in play or likely to arise? And are we developing plans to meet those needs? And are we doing that well? So those are the three focuses of enterprise change agility. So let's keep those in mind as we go through this presentation. So right now, I want to talk for a moment about the foundations of enterprise change agility. And let's go ahead and open chat because I'll have a question in just a moment. One of my all-time favorite quotes is from Lily Chen, who is a recognized DEI consultant and author. Lily says, trust is the currency of change, and change is expensive. Building a culture of trust is foundational to enterprise change readiness and agility. So what does that look like? Let's start with individual trust, because trust is earned, right? We owe everybody basic respect, but trust is earned. So let's open up chat, and I want to ask you, how do you know when you can trust somebody? What are the traits and actions that you're seeing that make you decide to trust them? When actions meet words, yes. When they have your back, absolutely. They say what they mean, yes. Yes. And they're willing to say, I don't know. Oh, yes, that's a huge trust builder. Transparency, absolutely. Mutual respect, yes. It is very difficult to respect someone who clearly does not respect you. When they are consistent, when there's follow through. Consistency is coming up a couple times here. Yes, absolutely. Words and actions line up. Yes. Reaction and actions are appropriate and balanced. Yeah, they follow through on commitments. Behavioral consistency, transparency, reliable, honest, and truthful. Yes. Authentic. Absolutely. When they give credit where credit is due. They show moral values and abide by them. Yes. They're genuine. They show up. They provide the why. They take the time to get to know me. Okay, these are coming in fast. Beautiful. Treatment of others. They take responsibility for failures as well as successes. Absolutely. Yes. Willing to own their own mistakes. When they listen. Thank you. That is so important. Absolutely. Genuine, professional, and humble. Listen just as much and ideally more than speak. Yes. Meeting people where they need to be met. Beautiful. Yes. Yes to all of that. That's fantastic stuff. That's exactly what allows us to trust each other. So let's think about how to expand those to the enterprise level. So to earn trust from customers, let's use those three lenses that we talked about to look at earning trust. So when we talk about customer service, to earn trust from customers, we do what we say we're going to do. When issues arise, we communicate. And always we listen. We listen to understand, not to correct or reframe, but to truly understand. From each other, from our coworkers. Everything above, we do what we say we're going to do. When issues arise, we communicate and we listen. And we make team culture a topic of conversation at the leadership level. And once we've gained some trust there, we include the topic at team meetings. We work together intentionally to shift the culture. At the agency level, everything we just said above, plus, we tell the story of our work, successes and challenges, and we do this at every level of the agency. This means every team truly has to understand how their work fits into the agency mission. But that is what allows us to tell a consistent and authentic story of our work. And it builds a strong foundation that allows trust at the enterprise level. Does that make sense? Any questions coming up?
No, not yet.
All right. Okay. So let's talk for a minute about distributed decision making. Distributed decision making is a part of enterprise agility, and it is one that is particularly challenging for state agencies, I think. We have so many layers of bureaucracy, but it is not an impossibility for us. It is a goal, definitely an aspiration, something we can work on. It is something that we can do better than we currently do. So what is distributed decision making? It's a hybrid approach between the traditional top-down approach and the very hard to wrangle consensus style. Distributed decision making is illustrated in the agile approach to projects, where small teams of experienced active subject matter experts determine how a product, process, or policy is developed. Distributed decision-making allows agencies to be more flexible and adaptable. It allows us to move more quickly when we encounter a problem. So I wanted to do a quick comparison of these two. There are a lot of different decision-making methods, and I tend to think of them as kind of a spectrum, with top-down decision-making at one end and full consensus at the other end. And on that spectrum, distributed decision-making is a hybrid. It fits somewhere in the middle of that. So let's do a quick comparison of the ends of that spectrum and distributed decision-making. So let's start with top-down, which is the most traditional. In a top-down system, decisions are made at the very top, and they permeate down through layers of management. So a really good example of top-down decision-making is Apple under Steve Jobs. When Steve Jobs ran Apple, his vision, his goals, even his style was consistently reflected in everything the company made or did. This method of decision-making works best under a leader with tremendous charisma. It can also work in a very authoritarian, punishment-oriented organization. It's a little hard to keep good staff in those conditions. So there's a balance there. So some of the benefits of top-down decision-making, I mean, we've always done it this way, right? It feels comfortable. Never underestimate the power of comfort. Decisions can be made quickly once they get to the decision maker. And decisions often feel easier. Executives are generally really skilled at looking at the data set and feedback presented and making a complex decision. Top-down is definitely the best option in emergency situations. When the fire alarm goes off, it's really helpful to have that authority yelling, "Down the hall, down the stairs, out of the building, now." So it's got some definite benefits, and it's got some definite strengths. Some of the drawbacks, though, executives are not close to the work. They're not familiar with the nitty-gritty details, and they've likely spent little to no time sitting with the project team for those complex discussions. There is no empowerment of the individuals doing the work, and that removes one of the most efficient factors for engagement and motivation. And finally, resistance can be a lot higher. People doing the work have less opportunity to really buy in or feel ownership, and that increases the chances of enduring long-lasting resistance. So top-down decisions are absolutely critical in an emergency situation when people may be frozen by fear. And otherwise, they are the traditional method for both American and European businesses. Consensus decision-making is in many ways the exact opposite of top-down. In consensus decision-making, everyone has a voice, and everyone must agree on the decision before any action can be taken. So the The benefits of that, it's inclusive. Everyone has a voice. It can lower resistance because everyone's agreed and should therefore support the decision. And it can create a sense of collaboration that can lead to better, more thorough solutions that can reduce conflict between departments and individuals. It creates ownership and buy-in, and that can make the change smoother. Drawbacks to consensus decision-making. It is very time-consuming. Finding true consensus takes a lot of time and many critical and sometimes very difficult discussions. Consensus decision-making can lead to groupthink. The desire to be done with this and reach consensus can lead to people ignoring negative data. Just one person can sabotage or seriously delay the decision-making process. And it can lead to bullying. Conscientious objectors can be pushed to change their minds or be excluded by the larger group. So consensus decision, I'm sorry, that is such a hard thing to say. Consensus decision-making is most appropriate for irreversible decisions when the outcomes and the different alternatives are all known. So let's look at distributed, which, like I said, is somewhere in the middle of that. For distributed decision-making, the leaders set the direction and goals, and the teams determine how they're going to get there. The benefits of this, it increases efficiency. It really empowers the people actually doing the work. You get buy-in immediately because they are making the tough decisions about how we're going to do this and meet that goal. You get lower stress. Typically, you get better decisions. I do want to say role clarity becomes absolutely critical in distributed decision-making. That's neither a benefit nor a con, but it is something that must be noted. Role clarity is absolutely important because if you don't have truly clear roles, then you can't avoid personal accountability. The decision chain has to be really clear. Who's got the authority to make what kind of decision and what that looks like? And without those two things, accountability becomes really muddy and really hard to hold people to. So that's the benefits and drawbacks of distributed decision making. So I want to point out that our top-down hierarchy is what's been in play since way back in the Industrial Revolution. So this is a Victorian mindset to think of an organization as a machine and the employers in it merely cogs. That is a Victorian mindset, and I really strongly believe it is time to leave that behind. So yeah, hopefully we're caring for our cogs, but cogs are ultimately replaceable and interchangeable. In the enterprise change agility mindset, organizations are living organisms. The people in them collaborate, working together towards shared organizational goals. So here you see the classic top-down hierarchy on the left and the agile enterprise on the right. So in the hierarchy, decisions filter down from on high through layers of bureaucracy and then typically get sorted into silos. Silos that often compete for limited resources and therefore don't trust each other. When an unplanned change occurs, they have a hard time pulling together and collaborating to successfully change and adapt. In an agile environment, the leaders establish direction. They set the overarching enterprise goals, and then cross-functional teams are empowered to figure out how to best meet them. So both planned and unplanned changes offer opportunities for growth and innovation, and the organization collaborates to adapt and excel. So that's the true advantage to leaving this Victorian mindset behind, to stop thinking of the organization as a machine and the people as plug-and-play type cogs. We get a living organism with people who are working together and truly collaborating, aligned toward the same goal. That is so powerful. I want to say it's kind of an idea our country was founded on, but let's talk for a minute about the 5 trademarks of agile organizations. This goes back to McKinsey's research again. These are 5 things that show up in truly agile organizations. They are number 1, shared purpose and vision. There is such power in having a shared North Star across the entire organization. That allows for creativity to see new opportunities and foresee potential challenges. It allows for flexible resource allocation. And when combined with trust, it breaks down silos. Next is a network of empowered teams. This really requires a clear, flattish structure. I don't want to say flat, but maybe a little bit flatter than what most agencies have right now. It needs clear and accountable roles, hands-on governance, robust communities of practice, active partnerships, and open collaboration. Third is rapid decisions and rapid learning. So fast iteration, experimentation, standardized ways of working, information transparency, and continuous learning. A celebration of pilots. Fourth is cohesive community with shared and servant leadership, entrepreneurial drive, and role mobility. So people have a chance to change, to work in different functions, to learn, to grow. And we have that cohesive community that's aided by the communities of practice and the other community building that we did when we were empowering our teams. Number 5, I have to admit, I hate that this one is on the list because I know most of our state agencies are operating on legacy systems. But McKinsey's research does show that successful agile organizations are using modern technology, and they're further evolving their tech to better fit their needs. So again, a goal. I hope we can get there. So change acceleration is not going away. Change is hard, but it is better when we do it together, right? Enterprise change agility is a long-term goal, but there are actions that we can take immediately to help us get there. So let's talk about some of those actions. Things that we can do right now. We can start working on building trust or rebuilding trust if it's been damaged. We can take every opportunity to create community in our workplaces, to make sure that we have time and space for people to truly connect and get to know each other. Are we taking an intentional approach to build our workplace culture to meet our needs now and in the future? Are we creating agency cultures where we'd like to see our children and our other loved ones working? Next, let's keep working on making our agencies learning environments. Let's find ways to celebrate failures and the lessons that we're learning from them. That way we're not relearning the same lessons over and over. Let's recognize that perfection is a myth and that we humans learn best from our mistakes. So we need to create environments where it is safe to make mistakes. And remember that tri-value lens, where each category is equally important. Are we truly taking care of our customers' needs? Are we taking care of each other and ensuring that our workplace culture is supportive and inclusive? And are we meeting the current needs that our agency was created to meet? Are we looking ahead to identify likely future needs and planning for those? Those are 5 things that we can do now. Excuse me, number 5, establish a robust practice of role clarity. I can't believe I was going to skip that one. That's one of my favorites. There are some great tools out there for establishing role clarity. I personally really like using I buy statements that let each team member specify how they are going to contribute to project success. So that sounds like I sponsor, contribute to project success by making timely decisions, by ensuring the project has the resources it needs, by removing any barriers we've identified, by stepping into the change management roles, making sure that the people impacted by the change are getting the information that they need to feel supported through the change. That's an example of an I buy statement. If every person on a project team creates I buy statements that show what they will do to get your project to success, that is a fantastic way to really establish role clarity and help everybody understand what is expected from them. It's also very important to map out who makes what level of decisions and spell out the parameters around those. RACI or RATSI charts can be really helpful with that, especially when combined with the more robust I buy statements. And if we make role clarity a routine part of our work, we not only make people feel more comfortable with bringing their ideas and creativity into the work, but we also set ourselves up for a stronger, more resilient, and more agile future. So what
Hey, Cheryl.
questions do you all have? Tell you what you got.
Yeah, I got some good questions coming over here. Let's see. The first one is, can you provide specific ways to help senior leaders rebuild trust, especially when they don't understand how important it is?
Oh, that is a very good question. Um, One of the resources that I'm recommending, I'm going to go ahead and pull to that slide. One of the resources that I'm recommending is Wendy Fraser's Trust Repair book. That is a fabulous resource. The title is Trust Repair. It is possible. She's got workbooks, workshops, and all sorts of resources around this. It is a fabulous way to just readdress some basic trust issues and get a new footing. As far as helping executives understand why it's important, um, say McKinsey has some great data on that. Who else has some good data on the importance of trust? ProSci has quite a bit. There's quite a few researchers working on this. So the Enterprise Agility World Community is a decent source. The Dale Carnegie Institute has quite a bit on trust. Harvard Business Review has quite a bit on trust. So there's a lot of resources out there to really help leaders understand the importance of this and why it's worth working on.
Yeah, I see a couple of people mentioning Patrick Lencioni. I don't know if I said that
Oh,
right.
yes. Yes. Yeah, Lencioni is great.
Well, you do have a couple other good questions in here, but I don't want to cut into your time too much. We're already at 3:43, so you let me know, Cheryl.
No, I'm going to say let's go ahead and do these questions.
Okay. Um, yeah, the trust is let's see. What can you do as a person low on the totem pole who sees all the great things about enterprise change agility happening in the upper levels of your organization, such as collaborative thinking, but the lower levels of management, the ones you want to work on a daily basis, are still in a top-down mindset? That can be pretty
Oh,
discouraging, and it often feels disrespectful when you hear one message from the top of the organization, but then see something completely different from your more immediate management. Mm.
oh, ouch. Yeah. That is an opportunity to respectfully ask lots of clarifying questions and make sure that you're getting the message that was intended. Um, and that's a talent. I know I feel like I have spent the past several years planting seeds about enterprise change agility. And I think that is something that anyone can do, no matter how low their level is, because the benefits are so powerful. So if you just keep planting the seeds about how this is so important and how building our culture is so important, how continuing to draw talented people willing to work for these pay rates is so important and requires a good, healthy culture and trust. Those are some of the seeds that I've spent planting and trying to water over the years. And those can be planted at any level whatsoever. So I hope that's helpful.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I don't see another question in here, but somebody did leave a comment that they wanted to know more about rebuilding trust. They said their agency rules by gossip and it's kind of gone overboard and they're starting to realize it. No question,
Yeah,
just more confirmation out there that folks are having issues with trust in their leadership.
absolutely. Absolutely. And gossip is a hard one to overcome because it's a very human tendency. We, as humans, focus on what's negative and what's most threatening. And that makes it really easy for us to fall into gossip. So we have some respectful workplace initiatives going on out there. A lot of those can be really helpful in addressing that. And I'm kind of wanting to make sure that I share my contact information so that you can reach out for any additional resources. So I can be reached at change@lni.wa.gov. That is a little bit easier to remember than my name. So if you need additional resources to address any of these things, feel free to reach out.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't know
did
if you
want to,
mentioned the speed of trust. That's another good one, if you hadn't mentioned that already.
the speed of trust is a good one. I debated putting that on here and felt like I was getting a little too crowded.
Yeah, I only know because I had used that a while ago to facilitate with, and that one had some really good actual practical activities to do with groups that might be experiencing a little lack of trust with each other. So there's some really good activities and exercises in there. And then someone else just put in Brene Brown also writes about what is required for trust in organizations.
Brene Brown absolutely does. And there is some really rich stuff in there. Um, my only word of caution about Brene Brown is she does not take neurodivergence into account.
Hmm.
And a lot of the communication styles of neurodivergence um, get mislabeled if you are a Brene Brown fan. So be careful there. I love her work, mind you. Don't hear me saying anything other than that. She's fabulous. But do keep in mind that not all of those labels fit everybody the same way.
Thank you for that. That's super important. I do have another question. Someone
Yeah.
said, what specific things should you clarify when clarifying roles?
Specific things when clarifying roles. I the example of the importance of role clarity that I use is a very confused woman who was on one of my projects many years ago. And she walked into the project team meeting and she said, okay, I'm the project manager. That's my role. And the project manager, who was a contractor who had been specially hired for this, said, that's interesting because that's not what my contract says.
Hmm.
Um, the woman was very confused, went back to the sponsor, please clarify my role, came back into the meeting room and said, okay, I'm responsible for bringing the people along with the change. So I'm responsible for all of the change management. And I said, oh, I'm happy to hear that because that's my role and that means I can go on to other projects, right? No. So she went back to the sponsor, came back into the room again and said, okay, I've got it. I'm the sponsor. That's my role. And we knew that wasn't true because we had a charter with names and everything on it. So we were all very confused. So a couple of us went to the sponsor with her to figure out what her role was and just get this nailed down. And it turned out she was going to be a business sponsor. She was going to be in the project team meetings representing our sponsor. Really good to know. If we had taken the time to do some role clarity, that poor woman would not have been so embarrassed and so frustrated so many
Hmm.
times. And we all would have known what was going on so that we could have all been more efficient. We could have been working on the project instead of simply trying to figure out this woman's role.
Mhm.
So, as far as questions to clarify, I really recommend the I buy statements. Have people create their own I buy statements, bring them into a project team meeting, get them all on the board, compare them all, make sure they all latch up and everything is covered. And that is a fantastic way to just make sure everybody's on board with what needs to be done. Um, and it's, I think, project manager's role to help identify if there's any holes left over that still need to be filled and who should do that.
For sure. Have you ever heard of the clearinghouse out of curiosity?
The clearinghouse, no, I
Yeah, I
haven't.
don't know if that's something a soup just came up with one time when I was working. Sorry to share this, but I think it kind of fits right in this part. But yeah, she did an activity called the Clearinghouse, and it's where she wrote everyone's name, at the top, and then that was like the beginning of a column that fell under their name,
Mhm.
and we each had to like, go put our post-its up and put what everybody did and what everyone was responsible for and accountable for. And you
Yeah.
really got to use that to see where the overlap was, because you'd have some people doing the same thing that someone else was doing when there possibly
Mm.
wasn't a need for more than one person. But then it was also a good way to identify the gaps, who wasn't doing something that all along they thought somebody was doing. And so that was just something that I loved, and I ended up taking that with me after that to help clarify roles when working with big groups if needed, right? But it was a good
Yes.
activity to do because you just had everybody, literally write down everything that falls within their wheelhouse of responsibility. And so it was a pretty cool thing to see where the gaps and the overlap was.
That is beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I will
Oh,
shamelessly steal, leverage that for my
yeah.
future endeavors.
By all means. You do have a few other questions in here. Someone says, the second quote unquote top practice is top-down innovation. What does that mean? I assume it's different than top-down decision making.
Very different. Top-down innovation really means that leaders are open to change. Um, so I think that is not always the experience in every agency. So yeah, when leaders are open to change, when it's safe to suggest change, to truly implement continuous improvement plans and keep looking for ways we can get better, that's that's when you really have top-down innovation. Does that make sense?
I think so. If you have a follow-up question, looks like that was from Linda. If you have a follow-up question, go ahead and pop that in and we'll address that. We still got some time. Um, for the statements, I think you said I buy. Is that what you said?
I buy statements, yes.
Okay.
Um, yeah, those are classic business analyst tools, is where I've typically seen them. They are coming up in more and more change management training. ProSci certainly pushes the I buy statements. And
Good deal.
yeah,
We just had someone in the Q&A wanting to clarify to make sure that they're hearing the right thing.
yes. I should have put that in writing. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Um, let's see. You did explain the difference between top-down innovation and top-down decision making. How would you recommend that frontline voices get heard through that approach when you have such, lack of a better word, strong leadership that wants to do it their way?
That that is a challenge. Definitely. That is a challenge. I can tell you what LNI has done to really establish two-way communication on a project to make sure that those frontline voices do get heard. Um, and let me be clear and give credit where credit is due. I did not start this particular thing that I'm going to talk about. That was somebody else, but it is brilliant. So we have at LNI the LINK network. It's Labor and Industries Network of Knowledge. And it was started to support our system modernization project. So it was just started in the half of the agency, a little over half of the agency that would be impacted by that. But we are now trying to expand it to the entire agency. So to do the link network, we did a survey of all the line staff and asked them who they trust. Who in their team do they go to when they have a question? Who do they trust to have the right knowledge and the connections? We then took that list of people to managers and said, who do you trust? And the people who made it on both those lists are the ones who were recruited to be part of the Link network. We gave them some training on some basic change management, communication, collecting feedback, doing some basic stakeholder analysis. And then what happens is the project team updates the Link network routinely, whatever the frequency is that's appropriate for that project. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's monthly. Often it changes depending on where you are in the project. But the Link network gets updates regularly. And their job is to share those updates with their team and then collect feedback and information and feed that back up. We're doing that through a SharePoint site, which means that information is right there, readily available, and it is put in front of the project team. So it's getting up there. I think that is a fantastic way to get true two-way communication on projects and make sure that the core staff have a way to have their voices be heard. I am sure that there are other ways out there to do that, but I have not found them. That is always challenging to really make sure that those voices get heard.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Any other questions before we go? We have a few more. Well, we're getting to the end. I'm just typing an answer.
Yeah.
Somebody asked the name of the book that I mentioned earlier. That was The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. I did type that in.
Yes.
Someone wanted an example of an I buy statement, but then someone else answered and they said they interpret it like this: I, in parentheses, will do by, in parentheses, this day or this time. Is that how you're meaning that to sound or to be read?
No, it's more I, name or title here, will contribute to project success by, and then listing out the exact actions that you expect of them.
Actually, that is what they wrote. I read that wrong,
Okay.
but they did say that by
Okay.
what and what they will do to
Yeah.
contribute. Perfect.
Okay. Yes, absolutely perfect.
They
Yeah.
got it. I didn't. They got it. This is awesome. I'm really liking this whole conversation in here. Let's see. Anything
Yeah.
else, folks? Thank you, Cheryl, for taking so much time with the
Oh,
questions and the answers. That's so helpful.
absolutely. Absolutely. So you've got a slide with some resources here and some of the tools that are being used in enterprise change agility. I also promised you links on implementation. So there's a slide with those. I know when you PDF it, the link won't work. So that is why these links are so long, so that you can actually copy and paste and get there that way. And then there's some
Question,
additional,
where can they find your COP information?
change at lni.wa.gov is the best contact currently. And then once I get you added to the Teams channel, you can just use the Teams chat to reach the entire community of practice.
Wonderful. 'Cause I imagine some folks may want to continue the conversation with you later.
I would love that. Yes.
All right. Well,
Yes.
I think we're pretty close on time, so I am going to, if you don't have anything else for us, is this your last slide with references?
This is the last slide. This is just some additional information and then my contact information. So
Well,
yeah,
thank
please
you.
reach out if you have any questions or need any resources.
You're amazing. You're wonderful, Cheryl. And we're just so thankful for you to present with us and just so happy you do have a COP so we can reach out to you if we want to keep that conversation going. And we just want to thank our ASL interpreter, Kelly, and our card
Yes,
captioner,
thank you.
Jamie. A big, huge thank you to everyone for joining this session, for all your input and wonderful questions that you've shared with us. There's much more of the conference to come, so visit our website at results.wa.gov if you need to sign up for any additional sessions in the next 2 days, or if you want to revisit sessions that you've already seen or sessions you might have missed, or if you just want to download copies of those presenter materials, that's where you can find them. You're going to see a survey pop up. Please take a short moment to complete that survey so we can
Please.
continue to improve and get your feedback and do what we need to do to make it better and better every year. But thank you
Yes.
again, everyone, for attending, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Bye.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.